Hi, everybody. This is Michelle, and I'm here with Mark Sorenson, the founder and CEO of Royal Fund Management and 401k Maneuver. Thank you so much for being here today, Mark. Appreciate it.
Hi, Michelle.
All right. So we have quite a bit of questions that come in from readers on the 401k Maneuver blog and also our YouTube channel. And one of those is about target date funds. So we know that they have grown in popularity in the past few years. But also everywhere, not you, but, just doing some research online, target date funds are, you either love them or you hate them. They're good or they're bad. So could you just spend some time? First of all, I would like you to just explain what target date funds are for those of people who may not know. And then let's talk about the pros and the cons.
Okay, big subject. So let me just start with what they are, and then you can guide me.
Okay, perfect.
Target date fund, as kind of the name implies, is a fund that allocates your money based on your age and expected retirement date. And for the most part, those are the only two inputs. And then what they do over time is if you're 30, obviously you have a longer investment horizon, longer period of time before retirement. So it might be allocated to have more equities, more stock, a little more risk. And then the term is glide path. They create a glide path over time, meaning that the goal would be to allocate more to less volatile, safer investments the closer and closer you get to retirement. So on the surface, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so for example, I'm 30 years old and I'm just getting a 401k. I'm going to be put in a fund that has me retiring in a specific year with other people my age, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so how do I want to phrase this? So let's talk a little bit about why, other than, you get in it and it seems like you just get it, you're in the fund and you just stay there until the day you retire. So there's obviously the ease of use, but beside that, why would target date funds be beneficial?
Well, you mentioned the main reason, and that's it's easy. You put it in there, you trust the management of the fund to adjust the allocations to get more conservative as you get older. So it just makes sense. You mentioned earlier that they've become very popular. They've become so popular that if you do not choose what you're going to go into when you start in a 401k with an employer, generally they're going to default you to the target date fund that kind of matches with the year you might turn 60 or 65. So it's even become what's called a qualified default investment alternative within a 401k. However, I like to say there's no good or bad investment. The question is, who are they good for, right? And so a person that just wants to not be engaged with their 401k, doesn't want to learn anything else, just wants to put the money in a fund and hold it throughout their retirement, it might make sense. But I think the key problem with it that I'd like to delve in a little bit, if you'll allow me, Michelle, is that makes it a one-size-fits-all investment.
Right.
You're being lumped in with all your peers that are the same age and expected to retire at the same time. Well, two people can be vastly different for a lot of different reasons, right?
Right, absolutely. Where you live, what your goals are, all that. Your risk tolerance, for example.
Risk tolerance is a big one. Let me see if I can give you an example of this. Let's say there's two people that are 50 years old and they go in, they're in the same target date fund because they're the same age, their expected retirement's about the same time. But let's say one of them never really contributed much to the 401k. They kind of got a late start. Like a lot of people, they turn 50 and they start thinking about retirement, right?
Right.
So now they increase their contributions. They're way behind and they think, you know what, I got to catch up. I need to be more aggressive. The other 50-year-old has been maximizing their contributions since the day they started working. They've done a great job of saving. They've created quite the nest egg. And they're more interested in preserving what they have and not taking a lot of risk. So these two people are very different in terms of their goals and their risk tolerance, and yet they're allocated to the exact same positions within a specific target date fund.
Well, when you lay it out like that, it doesn't really make sense, does it?
Well, I think it's easy,
Right. Well,
but this is probably a subject for another interview maybe, but there are lots of investment choices within most 401ks, of which target date funds are part of that, and that's fine. However, if you look at a 401k statement, and some 401k statements will actually provide you the returns of all the investment options inside the 401k. Other record keepers might send you that separately. It might not be part of the statement, but I would sure take a look at it at your 401k company, at your employer with your 401k, because what you're going to notice is there'll be funds in there that average 2% the last year, and there'll be funds in there that might have made 40, 50% the last year. To me, rather than being a target date fund that just adjusts allocations based on your age and expected retirement date, why not try to be in what's working and out of what's not within your fund menu from time to time, and you might achieve better performance.
And in order to do that, you have to be out of or opt out of, elect to not be in a target date fund, correct? Because within that fund, can you within a target date fund, how much leeway do you have to reallocate?
Well, sure. I mean, a target date fund in a 401k is just one investment option. So if you want to have 20% or 50% of your money in a target date fund, that's fine. But maybe with the rest of it, all of it or the rest of it, you choose different individual investment options that suit your needs better. And again, professional help can definitely benefit you there as well. But the other problem with the target date fund is you're trusting the management to get more conservative. I read an article that we could probably reference if we need to, Michelle, that the 2010 target date funds were much more aggressively, even though the expectation would be a person would be retiring in 2010, were much more aggressively postured at that time when the stock market went down in 2008 and 2009. So remember, because they're just adjusting allocations over time, this glide path towards retirement, getting more conservative towards retirement, that makes target date funds sometimes more risky than somebody might think.
Interesting.
Because they're not necessarily managing the risk based on current market and economic conditions year by year. They're just adjusting the allocations based on age and expected retirement date.
Got it. Okay. Well, you mentioned a little bit, professional help. For people who have a 401k right now, how important is professional help, whether it's to figure out what's going on with the statements and the target date funds and who's, what's going on, because it can be quite complex or confusing, especially if you don't know what you're looking at. So I want to speak a little bit to how professional help, I'll leave it there.
Michelle, you used a word that I think is important here. It is complex. The 401k industry is a complex industry. A lot of people don't understand how to read their 401 statements. They don't want to take they're good at their job.
Right.
They're not necessarily proficient at investing. And so, they look at their 401k statement, they see that it was up that quarter and they're happy and they file it away, or they may not look at it at all. One thing that professional management can do is help you to engage with your 401k. It's important for people to understand that, defined benefit plans, where you work for a company for 30 years and retire with a nice pension, those are going away.
Right.
Not too many people are spending that much time with one employer, number one. Number two, companies are just fewer and far between that offer the work for me and will take care of you the rest of your life with a pension. Social Security, depending on what you read, there's talk about if you're under 55 years old. I remember reading this a couple of years ago. There might be changes to Social Security. It's underfunded. It's a little bit of a, if it's a three-legged stool and you don't have the pension, the other leg is Social Security for your
And that's
retirement.
wobbly.
It's a little wobbly, yeah. And so the point I'm making here with too many words is employees are more responsible today than ever before for saving for their own retirement. And the 401k is a great way to do that, though you probably should be investing outside your 401k as well. And so if your 401k is meaningful to success in retirement, then get engaged with it, learn. And professional help can, or professional advice can help you get engaged and learn about, rebalancing and, making sure you understand the risk you're taking. When is it time to be in a domestic versus international, or
Right.
small cap versus large cap, and that type of thing. There are studies out there. I know I read one from Vanguard not long ago that we probably could reference, that said that if you hire a professional advisor, on average, you may make as much as 3% more a year. Well, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but remember,
But it is.
compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, as they say, and 3% more compounded over a working career that can add up to a pile of money.
Absolutely. The other thing about seeking professional advice too is it helps take that emotion, right, out of when it looks like the sky is falling or something economically or politically is going on, and the herd gets, so to speak, the herd gets nervous. Everyone at the dinner table is freaking out. It helps you make better choices about your money, right?
Well, yes, I think a professional can definitely help you make better decisions. Emotion is the biggest risk to anybody
Right.
investing money.
Sure.
In fact, what creates these V bottoms in bear markets, where it goes way down and then
comes right
sharp
back up.
reverses, what creates that is emotion. And people finally just throw in the towel and say, "Get me out at any price."
Right.
That is when you should be buying, not selling. And so you have to take the emotion out of investing, and definitely hiring professional management, even for your 401k account. A lot of people, Michelle, don't know that that's available, but hiring professional help, even for your 401k account, can not only engage you, help educate you, but also make better decisions and avoid the emotional decisions that in hindsight are almost always wrong, right?
Right, exactly. Well, on this, just one last question. You want to speak a little bit about what 401k maneuver does, and how maneuver is different?
Well, 401k maneuver is a participant account management program, which just simply means that we have the ability to manage your 401k account right where it is, wherever you work. Nothing has to move. We just have the ability to help you allocate on a quarterly basis which funds you're in. And there's two basic decisions that are made professionally, Michelle. The first is, I don't know about you, but if I'm standing on the railroad tracks and the train's coming, I'm going to get off.
Right.
So the first decision that we're making is about risk management. We're taking a look at the current market and economic indicators to determine when maybe it's time to get off the railroad tracks. The second decision, but I think is equally important, is to keep it simple. Let's try to be in what's working and out of what's not. Like I said the other day, if you look at the performance of the funds in your 401k, you'll find some that may have made 2% the last year and some that may have made 40% the last year. Which one would you rather be in?
Right, the latter.
And so that's one of our goals, is to improve performance. But I think important too is to manage risk when deemed necessary.
Awesome. Perfect. And if anyone wants to go check it out, it's 401kmaneuver.com. There's a fantastic blog there. We do post regular videos on our YouTube channel, and we're also active on Facebook and Instagram. So check us out there. And Mark, I think the number one takeaway for this for me is really whatever you choose to do with your 401k, whatever you choose to do with your just your financial future in general, it's really important that you get engaged, that people get engaged, and because they're responsible at the end of the day.
You know, Michelle, let me just add one last comment, because this interview started with
I know, target date
target date funds, which I can segue back to real quickly. By target date funds is a great way to be disengaged if that is your goal. But I think you can do better by educating yourself and getting the help you need to utilize all of the investment options that are in your 401k. Rather than just target date funds. And that's not to say that a target date fund isn't right for one person, but remember, it's a one-size-fits-all option that's purely based on your age and expected retirement date. And we think generally you can do better.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, Mark, for this. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything. And again, go to 401kmaneuver.com and check us out and check out our blog, and we will talk to you later. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Michelle.